Firstly, it's a year to the day since you were announced here at the club. You've not been here quite a year yet, but how's your time been so far here at the club?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. It's it's hard to believe it's been a year already, and I think it was just a couple of days ago, last Saturday, that I attended and watched the Cornish Pirates game here, and saw obviously a very comprehensive victory at the end of the season. I suppose a lot of things have happened in a year on a personal level. To move country, moved house twice. I suppose I travelled for 6-7 months without my family, and they've moved over, and a big part of it, they've settled really well, which is which makes life an awful lot easier. To move from one environment to another work-wise, been a lot of change, but it's been really positive. I think it's been challenging. There's been a lot of ups, there's been plenty of downs as well, but it's incredibly stimulating. And it's I suppose we're 1 year into what is probably a 2 to 3 year project.
How do you view the current state of the championship, both from a playing point of view and an operational point of view?
Look, I've only been here for 1 year, so again, there's people in far better positions than me to comment about over the last number of years. It's highly competitive, as I said earlier, and very contrasting styles amongst a lot of the teams. It's really good quality rugby week in, week out. It is very heavily based at certain times of the year around forward play, set piece in particular, and I know we'll get to that. It's an area that we would challenge us next year to move forward. As hard as we worked and as well prepared as we felt we were, that's one of our main focuses for next year. So a little bit maybe surprised that how important that became January, February and March when the weather changed, or how much of an influence, not how important it was, how much of an influence it had on results. So that's something that's a huge part of our preparation for off-season and pre-season. So it's really good quality rugby week in, week out. It definitely needs to be resourced more, it definitely needs to be funded more, because of how much people invest in it and the quality that's in the league. And we see now this year in particular there's a lot of players moving up to Premiership rugby. I think next year will be a little bit of watch this space and see how the first past the post system, the meritocracy system works rather than a playoff system. Given
the playoffs have now gone and now the championship has introduced a sort of a financial success element to the table finishes in the league, does that press on your minds, on the players' minds? Will that affect the players at the end of next season when you're fighting for positions?
In one word, no, to be honest. It can't. For us, it's about performance, it's about preparation, and if we get all that right, results will follow. And that's where we felt this year we didn't have the consistency that we needed. Will we be aware that finishing higher up the table has financial inducements? Of course we will, but that'll be more for the board, for myself to worry about. That's not something that the coaches and players need to be concerned with. We just need to go out and prepare the best we possibly can every single week for the whole season, so that we have that consistency around our performances and we get the results that we didn't get this season. I think that's enough of a focus, and anything else is probably just a distraction.
And how would you describe Nottingham's season in the championship this year?
I suppose first up, to be honest, I think we've underachieved, and we're disappointed with our league position. So I think it's really important to say that first and foremost. We were fourth place halfway through the league. I think a few things went our way. If I'm to be perfectly honest with you, I think looking at it, we're probably a mid-table side at the moment. So if we finish sixth, I think we'd say we'd be reasonably satisfied with our season. But obviously we finished in ninth, and I know it was very close right down to the last day in terms of finishing up in the middle of the table. But I think we should have won 3 to 4 more games. So that's disappointing, and I think that has to be stated first and foremost. But we're very much in the early stages of a development cycle, and we have a very young side, a very light profile and inexperienced profile. So I think we've done, we're very, very aware of that, and it's how we prepare, what we do in the off season, what we do in the pre-season to make us more competitive next season. That's probably the most exciting part of the job, and it's the best part of the journey moving forward, and we're a long way down that line, and we're really, really excited about what's happening. So the areas that we need to address, I feel we've identified them. We've accepted there are areas that we need to work on, and we're full steam ahead between our preparation and getting ready for next season.
And one area you can't really do anything about is injuries. You came into the club and it seems like you've had an unprecedented number of injuries. Have you ever known that in your career before?
I think maybe you go through stages. Every season there's stages where you're under pressure injury-wise. We did obviously a player availability assessment at the end of the season, and we do it as we're going. And across the first half of the season, we averaged 11 players out, and that's in a squad that should be about 25, 26. So from a negative point of view, you'd say, okay, that's it's difficult. We're missing a lot of frontliners. From a positive point of view, some really young players emerged this season, so that will really stand to us next season. That really stood to us around recruitment. So we probably have 4 to 5 players that maybe weren't in that core 26 at the start, and now they are. So look, a lot about this job is you could look at what you don't have, or you look at what you can't do, but I just think it's a waste of energy. I think you look at things, you accept the hand you're dealt with, you make sure that next season we're better in terms of injury prevention, we're better in terms of injury management, the guys are bigger, they're stronger, able to take the impacts more, and we control what we can control, and that's what our focus is. So yes, one hand we had injuries, other hand it created opportunities and players have emerged, and there's some really exciting talents coming through on the back of it.
You were forced to use 8 different players at fly half this season. Certainly not ideal, but I guess it's helped you to get where you are now in choosing Tiff and Garode for next season.
Yeah, I think look, there's a number of reasons I think why we weren't consistent this season, and that's a big focus for us. Consistent preparation leads to consistent performance. I'm a huge believer in that. We've a massive focus on the standards around the club, how we train, how we prepare, our environment in general, and there is no excuse for that environment not being absolutely top class. And I think with a young group in particular, they need consistency in terms of direction, and to have 8 different 10s play across 20 championship games, speaks for itself. We didn't have, for a variety of reasons, we didn't have consistency there. And your 9 and 10 are your 2 key decision makers. So that was definitely a major focus, or a major influence after Christmas around our inconsistent performances. And yeah, look, we're delighted that we have Tiff and Garode for next season, because I think when we struggled, a lot of it was down to the profile of the squad, and we were boxing far above our weight, I think, early season, but the ground was firm. We could play the game really quickly. As the weather changed, we couldn't do that, so the set piece had much more of an influence. Like Neil Fawkes is a top class set piece coach, but the bottom line is we couldn't match it in terms of our size, our strength, our power, and then you need a 10 that'll probably be able to move you around the pitch and take pressure off you at certain stages, and we didn't have the consistency around that. So that's one piece of the jigsaw in particular we're excited about for next season.
And you talk about winter and how the team particularly struggled during that period. Some of these new recruits you brought in, like Danny Qualter, James Penman, I'm guessing they're going to bring that size and strength that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think it's twofold, and there's 2 parts to the plan, I suppose, and one is around retention first and foremost, and I spoke to the players on December the 28th and felt that there was a really good character in the group and a lot of ability, and we play a particular way that takes time to learn how to play within our system, so they'll be immeasurably better a year too. So we decided that early, and we've managed to retain over 80% of our squad, which is exactly where we wanted to be. One part of it though was around recognising that we needed to be bigger, we needed to be stronger, and that work's been ongoing. So to give you an example, Kieran Davis played at 109 kilos. He's between 114 and 115 already. That's a stone of a difference. He's bigger, he's stronger. The same on the other side of the scrum. Right across our pack in particular, we focused on that already. We're in a 3-week development phase at the moment. So while the playoffs are going on, we're still here and we're working, and the focus is completely on our strength, power, and how we move, so that that profile isn't an issue this time next year. And then you alluded to part 2, which was the recruitment. First and foremost, we wanted good characters, good people, guys that we think would fit into what is a very impressive group. And if it came to a 50-50 decision, yeah, we looked at size, and we had minimum criteria around what we wanted. There's no point making the same mistakes twice. So, we signed a hooker who's over a stone bigger, we signed a second row who's over a stone bigger, and then we signed some key positions in the backs like Tiff and Sean Scanlon for next season, that from a tactical point of view, we think will allow us to play the game in different parts of the field and manage that pressure a bit better.
last year you came into the job quite late in terms of recruitment, but mostly the team was already there for the season just gone. This year, does it feel more like your team? You've got the time to arrange these dual reg players, these new signings, loan signings, things like that?
Yeah, look, I think you're a year down the line, you understand how the system works a bit better, you understand how the championship works. But I think firstly it's very important to acknowledge how good a job was done previously by Martin and Simon Beaton to recruit the squad that is here this season. In fairness to them, they put together a very, very good squad, especially with when Martin was leaving, and he would have been aware of that. There is a core group there that, as I said, we've retained for next season that we think will bring us forward. It's I suppose it's no secret, and it's not something I've spoken about all season, but the team last year would have lost their 2, their 3, their second row and captain, their 8 who moved on to Premiership, fly half who went to Premiership, both centres, and 2 of their back 3. So a huge spine of the team that was there, was gone in one fell swoop. But rather than looking again at what we lost or what we didn't have, we very much focus on moving forward, and we are very confident we've got the right group of players moving forward. Supplementing that is the dual reg system, and again it's taken a while, but we've established some really good relationships, and we've had fantastic cooperation from the Premiership clubs in the region, Wasps, Leicester, Northampton and Worcester. So next year already we know that we've got Tom West and Will Stewart coming in full time for the year from Wasps, and that's very, very encouraging to really exciting young prospects at prop. We've spoken to Northampton recently and spoken to Leicester recently as well, and we'll have a couple of more coming in for the season and others coming in on a dual reg basis. And I think that's really important for squad depth, and it worked really well this year, especially with the likes of Charlie Thacker and George Worth, who contributed hugely towards the end of the season, as well as Will and Tom, who were here at times.
And moving on to next season, you've mentioned the lack of playoffs, and so in terms of your targets for next season, does that change anything? Does the top 4 target disappear? Is there another sort of option, a way of looking at it?
It's pretty new, I suppose, in that I haven't been involved in a league before for a long time, since where there hasn't been playoffs. I think it defines you need to redefine what success is and what motivates you, and really it's about being the best we can possibly be. There's different motivational factors here. One will be finishing high up the table as we possibly can. We had one player go to Premiership, with TJ Harris going to Wasps. We want that to be 4 or 5 next season. We want people to progress, we want the coaches to progress, we want to be moving forward as a club. There's exciting times ahead over the next couple of years around developments with our facilities, etc., and we want to make sure the team is moving forward. So regardless of playoffs, I suppose without having given it a huge amount of thought yet, because we're still finishing off this season, when we sit down to identify our targets and outline our targets in the pre-season, they're going to be about finishing and achieving finishing as high up the table as we can and achieving as much success as we possibly can. And
finally, do you have a message for the green and white supporters out there in preparation for the new season?
Yeah, no, I just want to, I suppose, extend a huge amount of appreciation for the supporters this year. There's a fantastic home atmosphere here. There's fantastic support, and I think we just didn't give the supporters enough to get excited about and to cheer about, or we weren't consistent enough. Is probably again come back to the same word. We took a couple of fantastic wins here. I think probably Leinster on a Friday night in the BNI, one of the best sides we played all year. Ealing, who were thereabouts in terms of championship this year. We just need to deliver more of those type of performances that the crowd can identify with. So it's completely back on us. I'd like to thank them for being, I suppose, patient when our home form wasn't as good as it should have been. We only won 10 games this season, half of them home, half away. That's not a good enough home record. That's not good enough for the people who hand over good money to come and watch you, that have been supporting us for years. So our pledge is that we will be more consistent at home. We'll continue to play the rugby that we played, that I think supporters would have seen glimpses of, where we like to be creative, we like to play with a huge intensity, with a lot of pace, and next year we'll be better prepared in terms of the profile and the platform that we have to deal with it in all conditions. So when the weather does change, we're better equipped to keep playing the way we want to play, and hopefully the supporters keep coming through the gates and enjoy what they see.
Thanks, Ian, and good luck for next season.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.